cover some miscellaneous topics. Like there is one thing called you can have budget text. So budget text can be maintained, and these budget texts can be called whenever we are doing budget entry. So that gives you some additional information about the budget or any kind of instructions or some additional guidance about how to do the budget. So let me log in and share. Okay, so this is the lesson 9. Okay, this I've sent to the lady who is the Indian contact. So she will forward it to the US person who can forward it on WhatsApp probably to you if you're on WhatsApp, because this file is too big to upload anywhere.
No problem.
So here what we can do is we can create budget text, and we can bring in some, we can pull those budget text also in when we are doing the planning. So here you can create, maintain and display created text for FM account assignment via the budget text organizer. And these texts are created per budget ID. So whenever I create the text, so let's create one sample text here. First, I will navigate to the navigate, first create it, and then the application part of it. So this is under tools and under budgetary control system, and from area I will go to ZaranTech. So here it gives you an option to create. So in this screen you can actually budget text is printed by header and text. The header contains the key fields. Yeah. And so what we are trying to do is we are going to create a header, and then below that we are going to create a text. But the header is created based on the budget address. So we can use key combinations of the fund center, year, whatever you want to differentiate your text by. So if it is kind of a general instruction for the entire budget, then you can create it just based on the fiscal year and the budget version. But if it is, kind of drilling down to the fund center level, for example, or even the commitment item level, then certain parameters are available based on which you can drill down the text. So I have clicked on create. And these are the parameters which are set up in the configuration. So if we don't want certain or if we want additional, we can do that as well. So let's say I have the FM payment budget 9F, version as plan, actual version, fiscal year as 2022. What is the budget type? Budget type for normal entry, supplement, etc. Different instructions can be given. Then fund center, let's choose some fund center, let's say, and then the functional area. We can write instructions. Actually, I'm finding it a bit difficult to imagine what kind of text you would like to put here. So here they have given some example, like original budget was changed following the decision, so and so, supplement was created, and so and so. So I'm assuming this is the budget text here. Favorites. Okay, let us see how we can create. And then selecting these parameters, I will create the budget text. Budget text. I think the extra line that was added. So you need to delete these lines, otherwise it's for, yeah. So this is the budget text, and you can write a big story here. There doesn't seem to be any limitation of characters. So, okay, yes, in this budget, continuing for years, we spend each different accounts. Supplementary budget. So suppose you are putting this for a different version where you are only entering supplementary budget. So supplementary budget of dollars. So and so has been okay, let's save this, and I will just capture this. Okay, this is saved, and then we can exit this, and then we can go to the actual budgeting workbench where you do the budget. So let me go to this budgeting workbench and enter the same parameters which I've used here. So budget process is not mentioned here. So process can be anything. Document type can be anything. Version is 0. Fiscal year is 22. And the budget type that is mentioned here is BT01, which is also the default for the process ENT. So as you can see, there are different processes have different budget types as default. BT01 actually allows all, but the other ones you can customize that which types you want for which budget type should be used with which listing. So a carryover you can carry forward to the next year. So on this we'll cover in the last part. So right now we'll stick to end. And is there any fund restriction here? No, only the fund center and functional area is mentioned. And the fund center is mentioned as AGU 00018. So fund I will enter as anything. Fund center AGU 0018. Commitment item I can enter anything amount. And the functional area is YB 25. No interest 1500. Now, if you select this line, you will see one icon here which says budget text. Now, we have satisfied the parameters for the budget text. So, suppose I click here, it will pull up those parameters in the background and it will show the notes that we have entered in the budget text. So, whatever we entered appears here. But let's say, suppose I don't use those parameters and I use instead of fund center 8, I use 9, then this should not appear. Or I have entered some other text for 9 before, so that text should appear. Okay, no budget text found. So for this combination, there is no budget text. In fact, I thought for 75. Yeah, so I had entered this test for 75. So this kind of budget text can be entered here. These are also accessed in other transactions. So for example, this budget structure maintenance rule. Here, I'm not sure it will get all the parameters because here the year is. So this transaction is for changing the budget address. And if you click on the budget text again here, no, it doesn't give. I think we have not maintained the correct, because these budget addresses are kind of unique. So I think when we enter this, we should not enter the other parameters and let it generate those parameters. No, sorry, some other parameter is unique probably, so it's not showing here. And okay, then let's go to the configuration behind this, like how these budget text configure. So here you need to define the text template here. FM area, commitment item are saved. So this is the define long text template for budget text, but did we see those anywhere, those variables that we mentioned? Search. Yeah, these are the ones we created. Yeah, so these variables are not getting used here, but probably they're used somewhere else in some other way. Here it just gives you to kind of enter your own free form text, which will kind of pop up when you click on the budget text. And there are some forms also available if you want to, print this. I think it will print along with but I think we need to define the forms that you want to print along with the information. I could not find any standard form. So this form, what I have assigned here is not the correct one, but you can kind of print some information on the using the form, earmark funds. Yeah, this one is not the right. Okay, and let's try this transaction, copy budget text. And yeah, so here you can see that whatever text we maintained, if you want to copy it, so that is version specific. So if you want to copy it to another version or another fiscal year, we can copy it using this transaction. So even for same target version of 1 for 2022, if I want to copy it, I can do it. And if I want to manipulate some figures, then you have the derivation strategy. So I have maintained in Hindi or Sanskrit also. Nidhi Shesh Rashi Agni whatever that means. Yeah. So I will remove the test one, and now we are in, it's copied to version 1. So let's try to again do one last time the planning in version 1 and see if we can see the text. Yeah, I'll be able to see that based on the parameters that are entered. We'll see another peripheral topic called as cover eligibility. So many times you come across scenarios where you are budgeting for a particular budget address, which is like combination of fund center, commitment item, your functional area, and your fund. But when you budget for many items like this, you may budget at a very granular level, but you don't really want to track it at that level. That means you are probably okay if the budget is exceeded between the GL accounts. For example, if you have budgeted for a particular expense like travel, but that is not utilized for travel, and you want to utilize is for something else like consumables or stationery, then you should have a way to utilize the budget in that manner. So that functionality is provided by the cover eligibility, where you can create a cover or you can create a group of organizational elements or budget address as they call, which can share the budget. So no need to transfer the budget from one GL account to another or one.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
Fund center to another fund center. You can, if they are within the same cover eligibility, you can still utilize that without disturbing the. So let's go through that. So this lesson will explain how to define and set up cover groups. After completing this lesson, you will be able to define and set up cover pools. And here they have given that, okay, these are multiple budgeting addresses. And these kind of pools are created where you group together like 1 to 3, and then you group together this, and then you can interchange the you between these you can share the budget actually, or the commitment actual also, whichever it is. So currently we are dealing mostly with budget, but you can do that with the actual also. So a cover eligibility rule defines a rule between expenditure budget addresses, which provides additional budget for particular budget addresses to cover excess budget consumption. So depending upon the type of C, that is automatic and manual, the system provides additional budget. And what does automatic cover eligibility mean? If you assign a budget address to an automatic C rule, the availability control automatically shares the budget and budget consumption values for all budget addresses belonging to the same automatic C rule. Automatic C rules are represented by automatic cover groups. The next one is manual cover eligibility. The budget addresses must be transferred manually by a system user in order to increase the budget of a budget address when some excess budget consumption is expected. This is done in the budgeting workbench carrying out a specific manual transfer. The system checks that the sending and receiving budget addresses of the transfer document belongs to the same manual C group. Manual C group are represented by manual cover groups. So what this suggests is that you just cannot make a transfer between any two budget addresses, to kind of adjust the budget. If you want to adjust the budget, they must be in the same cover group or cover eligibility. That means they must be in the same group as defined by this process. So there are two processes in this. One is the automatic, where once you define certain budget addresses to be a part of automatic C rule, the budget allocation shareability will happen automatically. So there is no need to manually transfer that. But where you kind of define it manually, there you need to manually transfer between the two groups. A role of budget address in cover group. Okay. This indicator specifies the role of budget address in a cover group. These rules are subdivided into receiver, sender and receiver role as follows. Blank or receiver and sender. When using this role, a budget address can receive budget from another budget addresses of the same cover group and also share its budget with other budget addresses. So when we define the cover eligibility, we'll see that there are three types of budget addresses. Either it can be a receiver of the budget, so that means it is only eligible to receive budget from other groups in the same cover group, or it can be a sender, that means it is eligible only to send budget to other members of the cover group but never receives budget. In an automatic cover group, however, a receiver can consume the budget of other members of the cover group but cannot authorize others to consume its budget. So yeah, automatic I think is a better way of doing it, because what automatic does is that you don't need to transfer between the cover groups. And if you want to transfer, then what is the point in setting up a cover group, So I feel this, again, it depends on the situation, but the automatic seems to be a better way. But again, the limitation is that even within the automatic, if a particular thing is defined as a receiver, then we cannot, then it cannot send even in the automatic setup. So it can receive in the automatic setup. Whereas in the manual setup, the person has to, the analyst, the accountant has to manually transfer from the sender to the receiver address. So available budget is always calculated independently of the cover group at the budget address level. Always start at the budget address level. There is enough budget left. Then budget address is a receiver. Document is posted. Budget address is a sender or a sender receiver. And then if at the budget address itself there is enough availability, then there is no question of going to the higher level. So in that case, the document will get posted. But if not enough budget is available, then the document will not be posted. But if at the group level enough budget is available, then the document will still be posted. So here, if you see, at the group level, if enough budget is available, the document is posted. Not enough budget available, error message is output and document is not posted, and there is not enough budget left. So I think what we can do is we are covering a lot of different topics. So after we finish most of our topics, we can have 3-4 sessions where you can tell me which topics you want, like detailed demo, or if you're practicing yourself and if you come across any questions or anywhere you are getting stuck up, then those processes you can highlight. Because sometimes what happens, because of the limitations of the budget and configuration is not there, so there are a lot of dependencies. So sometimes I'm not able to demonstrate all the scenarios. So and some of these scenarios, like this particular scenario, this is kind of important, but we don't know how much it is used in practice, because how much this kind of shareability is there and what level the shareability is done. So if you can imagine some scenarios, then you can definitely put it out to me that, okay, I want to see this kind of this thing. Then I can work on those things and shoot. So let us go to the SAP help file also, because that gives more information than this document. So, okay, public administration must always attempt to achieve a working compromise between the necessary level of detail for budgeting and further possible level of details for posting. However, in some cases, it's not practical to shift budgets from one budget address to another. This would be the case if a certain distribution pattern of expenditure was not originally planned. Nor is it acceptable to intentionally change posting addresses just because the budget distribution does not follow a particular expenditure pattern. For this reason, the budget control system contains functionality that enables you to define cover eligibility for your FM budget and posting address, so that additional budget can be made available if you require more funds on the expenditure side than originally planned in your budget. These additional expenditures are then covered by other expenditures or by revenues in case of pseudo cover eligibility in other areas of a public organization. So what they have described the same thing, that if under a cover, it's like a floater policy, that certain things were budgeted for a particular purpose, but that budget has been consumed. But there are certain other expenditures which are budgeted for, but they were not consumed. So if we could adjust those against these, we could create a cover on top of that, and then that interchangeability can happen. So the coverage can be unilateral or reciprocal. So you can have both the addresses as sender or receiver, depending on who is used. So it's like a family floater policy where 2 people can get sick or all 4 people can get sick. But if, just one person becomes sick and the rest 3 healthy, then the same amount can be utilized completely by that person who unfortunately falls sick. So, okay, so here we need to do some kind of so we need to activate, okay. Here also there is a system of budget memos, you can put those memos here also. But here, okay, here it is, I have put is optional, you can put it as mandatory if you want to make a note of, why that particular cover was utilized. This is just a number range, so let's Okay, and there's this derivation rules again you can set up. So this is a common feature that whenever you transfer, some of the data can be set up by derivation rules, whereas some can be manually entered. And activate change lock. So then we go to the next part is rules for cover eligibility. Define particular links between budget addresses, and C rules are always based on the definition of cover group and are used in budget planning as well as in budget execution. You must have maintained the necessary customization settings, and then you can maintain the actually you can maintain the rules, these things. So there are two transactions, generating cover groups, and then you can maintain the rules. So let's try to first generate the cover group.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
Yeah, this automatic cover group. Yeah, there are some errors because all budget address 4,100. Okay, we'll exclude that because it's a yeah. There are no errors. Now we are also not considering the funded program. Yeah, it has generated the groups, and then you can generate the rules for that. So which one is a sender and which one is the receiver? Okay, now what has happened? I think it has generated the separate groups, but probably want to generate one cover group for everything, right? Let's turn it right this in one of the cover groups. Okay, sorry, my bad. So actually what here is the automatic generation, but instead of that, so let us see, we can display this. Yeah. So here what happened is this got created separately as one, but what we want is we want to create one group where one is the sender and one is the receiver, or fewer senders and fewer receivers. So let's create one automatically by budget address. So for example, within this automatic group, and I can add another listing as let's say 8, where you can exchange the funds between 7 and 8 and 9. Okay. So actually that automatic thing is not working as expected. So here you can assign one to one budget group. But now what we have done is this fund center is the, let's call it as this as receiver and this as sender. So here we have created a budget cover where you can send from 1 to 9 in case there is a surplus. So this way I can create a budget group. With this cover group generation, so it has created separate groups actually. So I will check this, how to combine, how we can merge, or we cannot, this function can be only used where it is no point, right? Because if you have just a few senders and receivers, then how we are going to exchange the budget? Okay, I'll check that and get back to you. So I think those were the miscellaneous topics, and we can cover one more: status management we saw, RIB we saw, copying we saw. Okay, we have one thing left on this that we'll cover on presentation. We saw the functionality. So activate availability control. So availability control, we saw, in the budget, once we activate availability control, then each time the budget will check whether the funds are available or not. So one more step is that we release the budget, and then an availability control ledger will be created where it will check whether the budget is available or not. When we are consumed, so this introduces the concept of consumable budget, how to check the available budget and how the system responds depending on consumption profile and checking horizons. BCS availability control checks whether the consumed budget for a control object does not exceed the consumable budget. It also takes into account tolerance limits, which can be defined in the system. Okay, tolerance limits is in sometimes some items like yeah. Then consumable budget is that is assigned are consumed through postings, and consumed amounts, budget consumption, assigned values through actuals commitments. So here it postings means the budget postings, not the actual postings. So whatever consumer budget is actually the release budget, and consumed budget is budget consumption, formally assigned values through actuals or commitments, and the available amount is difference between the consumer budget and the consumed amounts. So consumed amounts would be like actual FI postings or even POs if it is based on the accrual, and then whatever remains is the available amount. So basics of availability control: what type of budget has to be checked, where is the consumable budget, budgeting, which elements contribute to the available budget, postings, which elements consume the budget, how are checks carried out, when should the budget be checked, and these are the answers. So filter, that is consumable budget, where derivation rules, how tolerance, and when checking horizon. Our filters define what kind of budget is available for postings, for instance, which version or which budget type. Then derivation rules are used to define the elements for which consumed amounts are checked against the consumable budget. So derivation tools we saw are available in all the means deriving the commitment item, fund center, etc., all the account assignment objects. And whenever any document is posted in actuals, it will use the derivation tool to derive the account assignment elements. Tolerance profiles are a set of tolerance limits that are grouped together according to the availability control and activity group. You can use the checking horizon to specify whether the available budget should be checked for one fiscal year or for overall periods. So checking horizon is also available, whether the available budget should be checked period by period or for the fiscal year. So in case you want to check period by period, you have to budget period by period, and if that is exceeded, then it will stop. So you have availability control ledger, and ABC writes data to an ABC ledger. An ABC ledger is a specific view of a complete budget and assigned budget consumption. So so budget structure is through posting object and budget objects or addresses. And ABC ledger is derivation strategies, filters, tolerance profile, checking horizons, availability control through available budget and assigned budget. So through reports of availability control, you can identify possible budget under uses or overruns when funds are committed. To do this, you have the ABC ledgers. During the active availability control, the account assignment elements for the entire consumable budget are checked against the assigned amounts.
Yeah, so that is one thing I saw as a budgetary ledgers when I was implementing it. So, but I did not see anything in there. So, what is that?
Which one? Budgetary ledgers. Where did you see it?
I saw it in the systems. So when we do a financial document, there is a budgetary ledger that is getting created.
No, budgetary ledger means, actually the BCS system uses some default ledgers, but if you activate availability control, then this ledger will be created. It's a special purpose ledger kind of thing, which has, so this transaction, if you see, this creates two ledgers corresponding to payment and budget. And so these are the budget categories, and which one is a report for availability control, planning, function, entry documents, availability control. So these two control ledgers are created. That is the payment availability control and the commitment availability control, corresponding to the two versions of the budgeting. So if you look at budgeting, planning, or if you look at this report, Dotcom report, so availability control is not kind of mandatory. So here you see that payment and commitment. So this financial budget, this is just for information, but this payment and commitment, corresponding to that, you have two just created here control ledgers, which are the payment availability control and the commitment availability control. So depending on which type you are using here, the same thing you will get here also. Does that answer the question?
I'll ask you a specific question if I have any. For now, we're good.
Okay. Basics of availability control. Filters define what kind of budget is available posting for which version. Derivation rules. We saw this. You can use the BCS availability control function to identify possible budget underuses or overuses. During the active availability control, the account assignment elements for the entire consumer budget are checked against the assigned amounts. The ABC writes data to an availability control ledger as follows. The consumable budget and consumed amounts are stored in the ABC ledgers. Every AVC ledger is assigned for aggregating data, filter and derivation strategy, and rules for carrying out the availability check. The user tolerance profiles, I will make a note. The user activates one or more AVC ledgers for each budget category, and every AVC ledger must be activated for each FM area and fiscal year. So in the backend, there is some assignment also, like one AVC ledger for each budget category. Yeah, so SAP ships two standard AVC ledgers, a 9H for payment budget and 9I for commitment budget. 9F. So AVC filters for budget and activate commitment actual values relevant for activity availability control. AVC filters specify the budget values used to determine the consumable budget for posting. And what are these, like budget version, value types, document status, budget type, and define the consumption that is relevant to availability control. We'll cover using the tolerance thing also. I'll cover in the next session.